Welcome to the Android Headlines Show, podcast number 9. We are coming to you from sunny Hollywood, California. I'm Chris Yaklick, founder and editor of AndroidHeadlines.com. My co-host, the one and only Tom Dawson, our assistant editor from Europe. Hello, Tom.
Hello.
And also Mike Stringer, our hardworking veteran writer from the East Coast. How you doing, Mike?
Doing pretty good.
Good stuff. And our one and our only Droid Mike Corbet, technical editor here at Android Headlines from the Midwest. How you doing, Mike?
Yo. I'm good.
Good stuff. For those of you tuning in for the first time, we cover the latest and the biggest Android news making headlines every week on our show. This week we have a real action-packed show. We're going to cover the iPhone 5, the Acer, Google, Albania, Gate, craziness that was going on last week, HP, the LG Optimus G, HTC One X5 news that just broke today, Galaxy S4 news that broke as well yesterday, Galaxy Nexus 2 news, some Droid Mic time as well, and our weekly top 10 feature. Wow, that was a mouthful. We're going to have a very busy show. Fasten your seatbelts. Let's jump into the action right away with bashing our enemy, the iPhone 5.
By the way, Chris, speaking of the iPhone 5, I wanted to let everyone know that this podcast, this episode is going to be revolutionary and magical, and it's really going to be a breakthrough.
Awesome. We're going to reinvent some stuff here.
But is it going to be resolutionary? That's what we need to ask ourselves.
Resolutionary.
It depends on everyone's internet connection.
That's it.
Well, I'm wired today, so we should be good.
You can all see Tom's in perfect clarity.
Exactly. Perfect. So, as you all know, the iPhone 5 was announced last week, and I thought we'd share some of our thoughts from our crack staff on the new phone. We'll get some insight from them, their opinions on this new/old device. And just to get the ball rolling, I'll throw out my 2 cents on it. I just like to kind of start off by saying, you know, it's pretty obvious, you know, Apple spent the last year litigating instead of innovating. As lovers of technology and innovation, I feel bad for the iPhone lovers. Honestly, I do. They say we waited a whole year, and all they got was an iPhone 4SS. It's not an iPhone 5 in my eyes. The thing got a bigger screen. It got an LTE and supposedly a faster CPU. But there's not really much else in there that I'm surprised about. But what I'm really surprised is that it took a whole year to put this thing together, and that was the best they could do. I mean, really, there's not a whole lot to get excited about.
Yeah, with the iPhone 4S and this recent iPhone 5, even though it's the 6th iPhone, but it's called the iPhone 5, it seems like the last 2 versions, Apple has just been really catching up, because the iPhone 5, it's pretty much got the similar specs as phones that have been out for a while now, and also they finally got like the panorama function, and I remember catching like some live blog of the actual Apple event, and when Apple announced the panorama feature, like, oh my god, this is amazing. It's like Android has had this since Ice Cream Sandwich. This isn't really anything new.
It's not. There's a lot of stuff in this phone that is old, and you know, I've said it almost for the past 2 iPhones. They are having a hard time keeping up with Android because Android has so many manufacturers working on these phones, pushing the envelope, that iPhone is just playing catch-up on all of these. I mean, they just got LTE. Not that it's, you know, to me LTE is not a huge thing, but to a lot of people it is, and, you know, it's like just now they're able to put LTE in, you know. It took them almost 2 years since we first seen LTE. I mean, the bigger screen, who would have, you know, is that really that hard that it took that long to put in the bigger screen?
I kind of feel like this phone is an HTC Thunderbolt minus the kickstand. I mean, we got LTE. Oh, cool, we got LTE. Wait, the Thunderbolt had LTE. Oh, that's cool. Well, we've got a 4-inch screen. Oh, wait, the Thunderbolt had a 4.3-inch screen.
That's
all right. Well,
iPhone 5SS will have the 4.3.
Yeah, the iPhone 5 Super Plus.
HD Plus.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
You know, it's really sad that, you know, Apple, you know, I would like to see them pushing the envelope and challenging Android with some new technologies or features, you know, but it hasn't happened for a couple of years now. I mean, hardcore Apple iPhone lovers are starting to get upset. I've checked some of the blogs, and some of the hardcore guys are very disappointed in it. And I mean, there's no doubt that this phone is going to sell like crazy. You know, imagine if Android only had one phone. Do you know how crazy people would be going, waiting a full year for a new phone to come out? How many millions it would sell, and how people would be going crazy? Well, that's what like iPhone people are doing. They've waited a whole year for this. They're going to buy a crap load of them just because it's new. But really, there's nothing there. Overall, I'm just pretty disappointed in Apple, you know, and that this is the best they could do for after an entire year.
Yeah.
But I will tell you this: I am truly amazed by that revolutionary, brand new $50 cable that they announced.
Yeah, no
It's
kidding.
not that expensive.
Best thing since sliced bread to come out. Apple iPhone people are so lucky, so lucky. What do you? I mean, Tom, what did you think when you?
I mean, I was very surprised because, you know, Apple for so long have been the company that kind of, you know, they champion, you know, years ago they championed standards for video on PCs and Macs, and then they made one phone, and they made one software, and all these apps could run, and it was like, oh, it's magic, it's like a unified kind of ecosystem, but, you know.
No, that's me. Go ahead, don't worry, just someone's making a phone at me.
No, but, you know, at the end of it all, it's just, I think people are, like you say, they're finally getting to the point where they've had enough of the Apple they've had enough of the Apple bullshit, because, you know, it's, Phil Schiller says, oh, we've designed this phone from the ground up, this is completely from scratch. No one's buying that. It's basically an iPhone 4, they've gone, put a bigger screen in there.
This is the best iPhone since the iPhone. Come on.
Yeah,
but that's every iPhone.
That was actual copy on their website, and knowing Apple and how good they are with marketing, I would have thought that the marketing team would have came up with something, you know, a tagline, slogan, something a little bit better than that. I will give the iPhone some credit though.
You can't.
The cameras are usually really nice, the lens and stuff. But as far as everything else, you know, specs, not really too different.
No, and it's one of these things where it's just, I don't understand why they went the route they did, because, you know, you make a 4S, normally they don't make a, I mean, you had the 3GS, then you had a complete redesign, you know, and now they've just gone, oh, what we'll do is we'll just make it a bit bigger, and then no one will know, no one will know, no one will know. But the fact of the matter is that it's gotten to the point now where Apple sort of command people that, you know, buy this stuff. I mean, I think Jimmy Kimmel sent out a team of producers. Mike's seen it. A team of producers, and they had the iPhone 4S, but they had a brand new one, so it was all shiny. And they gave it to people that already had a 4 or a 4S. They thought it was the best thing since sliced bread.
And they were talking about how it was better and faster and everything.
It's the same phone. They just showed them the 4S.
They just want a new product because it's been so long since they've seen something. They're hoping it's going to be better.
The one guy said it had a newer, brighter screen.
Yes, and he goes, oh, that's definitely high def, and it's like, it's
high def, yeah.
Maybe the only
little 2-year-old pal.
The only thing truly greater in the iPhone or the new innovations that they seem to come out with is their marketing machine seems to be a lot better every year and year. The phone isn't, but their marketing just seems to be better and better every year. They just find new ways to reinvent the iPhone. And
yeah, but you know why?
No.
You know who they've got working for them up at their marketing? They've just got Hypnotoad sat in front of a computer with a great big giant webcam, and they've just Hypnotoad. He's just sat there all day long, and everyone's buying iPhones. Just Hypnotoad everywhere.
Well, no doubt they're going to sell a lot of them to those Apple fans who are waiting a year for this new and greatest phone. What do you think, Mike? You think it's gonna beat the Galaxy S3 in sales?
Oh, brother.
Droid Mike?
I don't think either one of us think that. Neither Mike has any faith in that one happening, I don't think. I know that a lot of people actually on my feed, when I either click the iPhone 5 What's Hot feature on Google Plus, or if I click the Android What's Hot feature, whenever that pops up, or the Galaxy tag, whatever one it may be, I end up finding out most of them are, oh, the iPhone 5 is cool, the iPhone 5 is cool, but half of them, well, 40% to 50%, are people saying, oh man, iPhone 5, kind of a disappointment. I guess I'll be going with the S3. I'm like, oh, good. And then I promptly say, plus Android headlines for all your news.
Nice plug. Nice plug.
But yeah, I kind of, I'm with Mike. I kind of see the same sentiment, and I see more and more people switching from iPhone to Android. And I mean, we still can't deny though that the iPhone is still going to be huge. I mean, I saw they got like 2 million pre-orders already.
Yeah.
But there is that percentage of people that are kind of waking up to this whole innovation thing that they've been told for these years, and they're kind of starting to think, wait, maybe iOS and maybe the iPhone isn't the best choice. Maybe I should check out Android, and more people are.
And I think you're definitely right. I mean, my thoughts are on it is that the hardcore iPhone users are the guys who are getting let down and disappointed. It's not the the new people or the cool little kids at school and stuff that all want iPhone, because that's what it is. It's the hardcore iPhone users that are saying, I'm not too impressed with this, and those are the ones that are giving the Android a chance, and they're switching over. And those are the people that are also out there telling their friends and their co-workers and stuff like that Android is a good choice over the iPhone. And I think you're going to start to see a lot of people being won over from iPhone, at least at the higher end. The people who really love smartphones or into the technology, those are the guys that are most likely going to be switched over. And those people are also, they're early adopters. Those are the people that are going to convince their aunts, their uncles, and their nephews and so on to get Androids down the road. So there's definitely going to be some huge swing of momentum, I feel, to Android if iPhone does not start innovating. Forget about the lawsuits. You know what? Move on with it. I understand you can't put out a great product, but you know what? It's time for you guys to start building, something a little bit better for your own user base at least. Anyways, guys, I don't want to beat the iPhone thing too much. This is an Android show. Let's get on to some Android news. Now, something we don't see very often is Google throwing their weight around. Now, last week, we saw Google throwing their weight around with technically threatening to cut Acer off from Android. There's kind of an incident that took place with Acer and China and a phone launch that made the tech blogs is quite interesting. Now, Tom, you did a story originally when it had broken. You want to fill in the readers a little bit about what took place with this?
Yeah, so long and short is that Acer were working with Alibaba, which is China's...
Beautiful name.
Don't laugh. Is China's biggest web presence. They're sort of like they're not China's Google, but they're
like
cloud storage. Yeah, the cloud basically cloud services, cloud storage. and that sort of stuff. And they'd worked with Acer to launch a phone that came with the Alien OS, which Google were none too happy about. So Google put in, stomped their foot down, and said, no, you're not launching that. If you're going to launch that, then we're going to, sort of cut you off from the ecosystem. And it was like a day or two, I think it was, before Google actually said anything. And when they did say anything, it was because of the Open Handset Alliance. And basically, Alien is like, it's not necessarily a fork of Android, but because it runs a virtual machine that allows you to run Android applications, it basically, it doesn't infringe or anything like that, but it's basically, because it has that virtual machine, it becomes what they call a non-compatible version of Android. So, so therefore, they've got all of this. You've got all these apps, and also they found pirated apps in the Alien market that might get destroyed for it. And it's just the whole thing about it is that the Open Handset Alliance doesn't want, and therefore Google doesn't want these ragtag versions of Android. You can do what you want to it. You can make sense. You can make TouchWiz. You can do what LG does and bastardize it to high health.
Amazon, fork it.
Well, the thing about that is that because Amazon aren't a member of the Open Handset Alliance, they're not held to the same rules and regulations.
But Acer is.
Yeah, exactly. So because Acer are part of the Open Handset Alliance, they have to agree to make and only ship a compatible version of Android. So that you go to the Play Store and or any app, any Android app, and it runs. But because Alien is running a virtual machine, that's incompatible. So Acer would therefore be breaking their moral agreement with the Open Handset Alliance.
And a lot, from what I hear, a lot of the compatibility is an issue as well on this Alibaba operating system, that it doesn't work, or Alien it's called, and and it doesn't work as compatible with the Android ecosystem. So there's definitely going to be a different user experience, is not the same as Android. Some of the source code I heard is. Some of it was taken from Android a little bit, which they don't have a problem with because it's open source. But in order
the thing with the code is that you can. It's like Amazon do what they want with it because it's it's under an Apache license, so it's not the GPL license that we all know and love. It's an Apache license, so you can pretty much quite literally go, I'm just going to take that, and whatever you do with it is fine because it's not GPL, you don't have to give back. Whereas if it was, you'd have to give the source code back or whatever changes you've done. But because it's just Apache, you can just do it on with it. So Amazon don't get any stick for that because they're not part of the Open Handset Alliance. They're not breaking any of the rules or anything, and I'm pretty certain they don't ship any kind of software that plays back media that infringes on other licenses and stuff. But these guys with Alien are sort of, they're kind of dragging Android's name through the mud, pretty much, because those apps are Android apps. So you go and run an Android app on Alien and it doesn't work properly. Your Angry Birds aren't flying right. You're going to blame Android because it's an Android app. So their reasoning there is that it's sort of like it's just, I can't think of an analogy properly, but basically it's an incompatible version of Android because it's reliant on Android applications. Whilst even though the base system is not Android, it still has enough ties to be deemed a non-compatible version.
Now, Mike, you were doing a story today on it that seems like there's quite a few apps that they've pirated right over.
Yeah, basically, Ars Technica, they did a little bit of research and they found Angry Birds, Temple Run, and Eternity Warriors 2 on the Alien App Store. And the developers listed for those apps were not the actual developers, and so...
wow, I'm smelling a cease and desist letter coming.
Yeah, so basically they reached out to some developers, and the creator of Temple Run got back with Ars Technica and was like, this person does not look familiar, and the app looks pirated. And not only that, but there were watermarks on the apps that originate from a piracy site. Android app, one of those piracy sites. So yeah, it definitely looks fishy. It looks like something's going on there.
we all know China, you know, and their piracy and stuff like that. I mean, this is definitely, you know, if they're looking to make an enemy, and you know, I'm sure Google did not have a problem with them, you using the software. I'm definitely sure they do now. I can't see this hanging around for too much longer. No. And I can't see it taking off. I mean, you're not going to have a quality Android ecosystem. You use pirated apps. Why even bother? Why even bother? And I mean, you know, the worst part of it here is that Acer was ready to jump in bed with them, who was part of the Open Handset Alliance. I don't understand, you know, it must be because Acer's been making a lot of crappy handsets lately, can't break into the North American market, and isn't doing very much in the, European market. Maybe Acer should focus on just developing some better Android handsets and not messing with these Chinese knockoffs. And, I don't even understand why Acer was bothering with it in the first place.
It'd be nice, Chris. That's where we get all our phones.
Yes, yes. Acer is just a high-quality, high-end, manufacturer in the Android world. From their mid-grade, bottom-line tablets, they're okay-ish, but they're pretty well there with the Chinese knockoffs. Their phones are pretty well, right there with the Chinese knockoffs. I guess they just wanted a knockoff software to go right along with it. What else can you say?
Knock it off.
Knock it off, Acer. Well, they got their hand slapped by Google, so we'll see what their approach is. Anyways, let's move on to our next topic. Our next topic was one that surprised me. It kind of came out of left field, as you would call it, or right field, depends on which side of the field you're looking at. And I'm going to let Tom throw this out there, but HP was looking to launch a new smartphone. Where did HP come from? Back from the dead. These guys with their WebOS and their touchpads were all out of business. Their CEO threw up his hands and sold off every touchpad they could for bargain basement prices, and said they were out of the business. Next thing you know, we have a rumor that it's a phone coming. What's the details on that, Tom?
Well, I think what happened here is HP saw how successful CyanogenMod mod have been with putting CM9 onto the touchpad, and they think, hey, perhaps we can just build a phone, and don't do anything with the software like we did last time, and just throw CM9 on it. But no, more seriously. They're apparently coming to market with there's benchmarks anyway that have been leaked onto glbenchmark.com about an upcoming HP smartphone based on Android 4.0.3 but other than that, I mean, I think it's a 1280 by 720 resolution, but there isn't really much now. I'm trying to load the post so I can get my specs, but the website appears to be...
Well, we're looking at a dual-core Snapdragon S4 with 1366 by 720 resolution. An S4 is pretty standard on phones. But they said that, the resolution is something we haven't seen before, so it could point to possibly a tablet, which maybe it makes more sense. They want to get back in the tablet game, seeing they've been so successful at that.
They could put a tablet out with 1366 by 768, but I don't know what screen panel you'd put in. I mean, you couldn't really do a 7 at 1366 by 768, but you could perhaps do maybe like a 7. I think you'd have to be pushing 8 inches, but I don't know. I don't think they are going to want to bring a tablet necessarily to market again, because they struggle to even build the touchpad, because if you look through it, they really struggle to build the touchpad because Apple were buying all of the parts. I don't think they're going to want to go up against Windows 8, because Windows 8, even in RT format on ARM-based tablets, is a pretty strong operating system. I don't think HP, who probably have a decent bit of experience making Windows PCs, is going to want to go up against Windows 8 with an Android tablet, especially the likes of the Nexus 7. And you've got to factor in the Kindle Fire as well. People are going to buy those like hotcakes.
Well,
yeah.
I wish them luck. So we'll see how that's going to go. You know what, though? They did build a decent product. They still have, some of the WebOS team in there. And they do have some experience. Not a whole lot of them, but there are a couple of them maybe left.
There's 2 or 3 floating around the halls.
Somebody there. Somebody's manning the phones.
There's a little office. There's one office there that's just for WebOS, and there's just one man sat in front of a phone that's just gathering dust, and he just, I don't know, maybe plays a little bit of Minecraft, and that's about it. Doesn't really do much.
Well, we'll wish them luck. You know what? And if they come to Android where they should have been in the first place, we'll embrace them like the loving people we are.
Well, that's how the touchpad started life. It was originally going to be an Android tablet, but then they bought WebOS, and then they bought Palm, and they thought, oh, we've got a different operating system now. Just happened to chance across this. So
it turned out really well.
Yeah. Went really well.
Things went swimmingly. Purchase.
Well done, HP.
But you just think how many people have the touchpad, one of the most popular Android tablets, probably still out there.
Well, yeah, because they offered it so cheap and lost so much money on it because they had to sell it so cheap to get it off the shelves.
I still use my touchpad every day.
250,000 users, I think.
They had to do. They did another like product run at the end of it. It's like, oh, you want some more tablets? We'll make some more tablets. We had to make more tablets.
Yeah.
I mean, I love it. It's great. I mean, I think that the resolution of the screen's getting a bit low now, but it's I mean, that IPS display is just so pretty. I can't give it up.
It is.
There's no Nexus 7 though, Tom.
Yeah, but the Nexus, you've told me yourself, Chris, the Nexus 7's IPS display is not as bright as we want, and quite frankly, I want to burn my retinas every time I browse the web. So.
But everything else is awesome.
Yeah, true. And the Tegra 3 shits all over.
They had to, kind of squeeze it in because remember, touchpad was what, a $500-600 tablet when they first tried selling the thing.
They positioned it side by side the iPad 2, which when you look at the iPad 2
brilliant
versus the touchpad, you kind of think, well, the touchpad is nice, but then the iPad 2 is about half the thickness, has a camera on the back, all these things that go hand in hand with the iPad 2, and they position it at the same price. Madness.
All right, enough about touchpad and HP. We'll see what comes out of that. Maybe someone just forked an Android on an HP phone. We're all getting our panties in a knot over nothing.
Yeah, that
would how those good. Hackers could be. Let's get on to our next topic here. A company we seldomly talk about because they seem to have a real European Asian flair, but they have a new device coming out that is got the attention of all of the Android fans in North America and is gathering a lot of buzz. Hopefully they capture that buzz with the new LG Optimus G. Now, Mike Stringer, he covered the story on this, Mike. What's the deal with this phone? What kind of specs are we looking at? What's going on here? Give us the 411 on this, and hopefully we don't need to call 911.
Yeah, so recently, I think it was the end of last month, LG announced it. It's going to be making its way to the U.S. here soon. Actually, event's coming up the 19th of this month. So LG is likely to announce the U.S. version here. But specs are pretty nice, and it's also, of course, coming to Canada, the great upper north freezing tundra. Of course, I'm kidding. But it's got a 4.7-inch HD IPS Plus display, 320 so really, really nice. 1.5 gigahertz Qualcomm Snapdragon S4 Pro quad-core processor, Adreno 320 GPU, 2 gigs of RAM, 32 gigabytes of storage, and a 13 megapixel camera. So it's got some really nice specs, and it's just 8 millimeters thin.
And there's a nice 2100 milliamp battery I hear in there.
Yeah.
It's that's a super phone in my eyes for what the specs we've been seeing right now. That's right up there with the best of Android smartphones.
Yeah, and it looks pretty good too. Of course, though, it's going to have Android 4.0, not Jelly Bean. Although Jelly Bean could potentially come later, so we'll see.
Of course, it'll come later. Just a matter of when.
Right.
Yeah, I mean LG are fantastic with their software updates.
Yes.
LG is fantastic with their software. Ugh.
Now, I mean, this is really the first LG decent phone we've seen since last spring.
Since the G2X, really.
What's that, Mike?
I thought it was since the G2X. I've not been impressed by any LG software since then.
What did they have there? The Optimus 3DDs and the G2Xs and all that stuff, which were not bad. They were not bad.
Great.
What's that?
I said they weren't great, though. The software was really laggy, and the devices looked really nice. I've always been impressed by their design. But
I mean,
software just never.
I mean, their UI, I didn't have a lot, I didn't mind their UI, although it was a lot like Samsung, iPhone, and, it wasn't all that bad. And their phones had the hardware. They just seemed like they couldn't get it all together. It really seemed like that cheap Chinese type of smartphones that, they're used to making. And that's why they really had a hard time breaking through to the North American market. Hopefully this phone is going to come with that high-end polish that we expect here in North America, and they'll break through. Because really, they are a pretty good phone manufacturer. They are pretty big, and it would be nice to see another OEM kind of getting into the high-end phone market and pushing some of the envelope. I mean, it's definitely got the specs. The only thing that could let it down is really the software. The hardware is there, the specs are there. Although potentially one red flag could be the distribution. Some of these LG devices have not been distributed properly. With little to none type of marketing or advertising in North America, so they don't get a lot of play amongst Android users. What is the name of that new LG? Not new, but the LG View that went on Verizon. They got some fancy name for it.
The Intuition.
Intuition.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who. The thing about this is that it doesn't matter what you put inside an LG phone. It's still always going to be an LG phone. So it's still always going to be a little bit janky and a little bit kind of subpar. And I don't think that's because LG don't have the capacity. Like, the Optimus 4X. Yeah, the Optimus 4X HD, and that looked like a good device to me over here in Europe. But the thing about it is it's still an LG phone,
Yeah.
So the thing about this is it's gonna, it's like you say, Mike. These things, they don't have fantastic build quality. They can't optimize code properly. I mean, the LG Nitro that came out on AT&T towards the end of last year, that was a pretty good phone. It had some good power inside it. It had a 720p display. The display was really nice. But then they put gingerbread on top of it with like ridiculous skinning and stuff. But skinning to the point that is like needless. Like, not like TouchWiz. TouchWiz doesn't look. I don't think it looks that great, but it doesn't mess with Android too much, unless you delve a bit deeper. But for all intents and purposes, if you run stock Android, you can pick up a GS3 and think, I know how to use this. Pick up an LG phone. So what is this? What? And the icons have bubbles around them because, of course, everyone needs a good bubble in their life. It's just LG really ought to just make a phone and then give you a software disk, and then you use the software disk to put a custom ROM in it, and then you'll be fine.
I definitely always look at their software when it gets here, or when I get a review phone, or when I get a chance to stop inside a phone store, and I give it a look, and I'm like, it seems like every single phone, their software looks a little bit different. So you're like, oh, did LG get purchased, or did they just change their UI again, their user interface?
How many designers have LG fired this week?
Yeah, or higher.
Yeah, well.
Well,
I feel like I don't know.
It's another company that I wish for success. I mean, they're a big company.
Yeah.
You know, they have the potential to do some serious damage in the market, and they have, you know, the resources to be a big player in the North American market. They still haven't stepped up to the game. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Let's move on to another company that's looking to step up their game, HTC, with their mysterious 5-inch phablet. There's been a couple new devices kind of been thrown around from HTC. We have the One X Plus potentially. We have also this new one that is supposed to be exclusive from Verizon. And very well, you know, when you're in the rumor stage, these devices could end up being the same. Last week we were speculating on one with a 1080p quad-core Snapdragon S4 processor. Someone put 1.5 gigabytes of RAM. I have a hard time believing that in the rumor. It'll probably be 2 gigabytes.
Yeah, I love no matter what phone gets announced now, it's always got like five better specs than the last phone that came out. And a lot of it's just wishful thinking. A lot of it's going to be very similar to what we have now.
Well, if they post the regular specs, no one's going to get excited, Mike. It's like if you caught a
technology
fish,
only is what
the
it
fish
is
is only
because
like
of
this.
the price.
That's not very exciting. I want the fish to be this big, you know?
Exactly.
So when you actually do pull in that little fish, at least there's some excitement, right?
Something. Exactly.
No, but you know, some of the specs
just always makes me laugh.
It's hard to tell what they're going to be exactly sometimes. But we know that this 5-inch mysterious device, we had a picture of it last week, doesn't look too bad. It's going to be going into Verizon. It's going to be a Galaxy Note 2 competitor. And we'll see what happens as we hear more. Still in the early stages of it. The One X Plus was supposedly past FCC, which is something supposedly with a little scaled down specs. So that should be coming up really soon, because when you get something going through the FCC, you're usually looking at, you know, anywhere from, you know, it could be anywhere from 3 to maybe 6 weeks before it hits the shelf. Usually the FCC is the final stop before we see this thing hit the shelves. So
announcement of some sort.
We're definitely going to be seeing some 5-inch phablets coming out. Definitely one for Verizon. Another one, not so sure yet. Today, Tom, something as well dropped out of nowhere. Another 5-inch press render. And this one is called the One X5. Now, it does look very similar to the renders that we've seen in the leak images with the red on the side, same as the type of quad-core processor that's in there. What was the story that ran out today? Is this the same?
I think this is going to become what you'll see coming to Verizon. It's matched up with the blurry cam photos that we've been seeing with the red banding down the sides of the phone. And I wouldn't be surprised if this was you know, an addition to the Droid family that was like the high-end addition to the Droid family, because you know the Incredible 4G was a decent phone, but it was like the iPhone 5 of the Incredible series. You know, it was much the same of the previous device.
Incremental. In fact, I kind of pulled the same thing that a lot of iPhone 4S guys were doing when they saw that video. They sent me the Incredible 4G LTE, and I kind of thought, no, send me the right one. Oh no, wait, this is the right one. Okay, never mind. It didn't look entirely too different, but hopefully we'll see the 1X plus 590 PX do a lot better.
I think, it looks a nice device, and I do think it's probably geared towards Verizon more than it is anywhere else, but
it's kind of a shame.
But the thing is they have bought these devices. I mean, my 1X, for example, has a color scheme similar to it, and there's a little bit of red on the bottom with the Beats logo. But they did the Sensation XE over here, which was akin to the HTC Resound with a worse screen. So they do the black and red color scheme for other markets. So you might see a variant for AT&T. But I think if you did see something like that,
you need to definitely get this device if the specs are going to be higher end. Before we start seeing new devices next year at CES. If this is their last kick at the can for this year to make up some sales, and they've had a little bit of financial issues this year, they definitely need to drop this phone on as many carriers as possible and get this into as many people's hands as possible for the all-important holiday shopping season that comes up that really can make or break a company's financials. And just dropping it on one carrier is not really going to do it. And it was one of the things I think HTC failed at with this 1X series, was definitely playing kind of the old school mentality. We're picking one carrier, for one phone, one for another phone. That's the old way of doing things.
That really sort of, when HTC this year, at the beginning of the year in February, they came out on stage with the One series, and they blew a lot of people away because it was such a unified series of phones that covered all the bases. You had the One V, which has since now disappeared, that was would cover the would sort of cover the super low end and the mid range relatively.
I'm sorry, the One V is in the apocalyptic nuclear winter in Canada. There's actually running in Canada.
Is that? Oh, is that on? There's on Rogers. Is that?
Yeah, Bell or something. Anyways, go on. Sorry to interrupt.
Tell us.
Oh, another strange name. And I think then you had the 1S, which was a great high-end to mid-range phone that was for people that wanted a smartphone that wasn't necessarily going to play games or do anything massively intensive on it, but still wanted to do a good camera and all the trimmings. And then you had the 1X, of course, which was the powerhouse. And then that was a great kind of lineup to cover all the bases. And then it hit the States, and you had the Evo version. You had Verizon's
HTC
Droid.
One Evo. I wish that's what they would have called it.
But the whole symmetry, the one problem with it is you had the 1X on AT&T, we had the 1S on T-Mobile, we had nothing on Verizon, then we had the Evo 4G on Sprint, and
it made a mockery of the whole thing. I mean, it's just sort of
their one series turned into one phone for one carrier, not all three devices on each carrier, which would have been the smart way to go.
Definitely. I mean, if Samsung could pull it off, I mean, historically Samsung have in the States kind of catered to each carrier, and then they've had a massively staggered launch, which is why they had the big hoo-ha about not upgrading the Galaxy S to ice cream sandwich, because on some carriers it was still being sold and it hadn't been on the shelves for so long because it took them so long to get each variant onto shelves. But the Galaxy S3 within like the space of 2-3 weeks, every carrier had their own Galaxy S3.
And why
can't HTC do that?
They only sold like 20 million so far or something.
Exactly, and that's because it's a unified model. It's a unified brand. I mean, you just kind of if you're looking for a high-end HTC phone and you don't care which carrier you go from or to, you're kind of which phone are you going to choose?
It's kind of like if I have a person that comes up to me and they want a phone recommended to them, and they say I want it to be by HTC, and I say, well, get the 1X, and they say, well, I'm not on AT&T, but they are on Sprint. But I tell them,
you can't have an HTC. Oh.
Well, I can always say, we'll get the Evo. It's basically a 1X. And then they go look at the Evo, and they're like, no, that's not a 1X. That's an Evo. I'm like, no, they're the same internals. Whereas if I'm like, okay, we'll go get a Samsung S3. They're like, oh, well, that's on every carrier. I understand that.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of the reason why Samsung has sold so many and why HTC is probably still
struggling with their branding. You know, if you remember when the 1 Series came out, it was an Apple epiphany of how they were going to simplify their phone naming, psychology, so everyone could easily understand and no confusion, all the one family series. And here it's, got diverted because of the way that they distributed it. Anyways, good luck for HTC, and look forward to talking about this new phone once it does hit the hit probably this fall. I'd imagine that we're going to probably see this in a mid-October phone launch for the all-important stocking stuffer Christmas holiday shopping, which sounds weird to talk about at this early.
Especially from Hollywood, right?
Yes, it's like 99 degrees outside.
Yeah, all right.
And for you people in the UK, that's like 33, 34, something like that. So yeah, talking about
what's that in real money? What's that in degrees C?
34.
Nice, pretty cool.
Yeah. So let's move on to our next one. This one kind of blew me away last night too. It's been such after the iPhone 5 was announced, it seems like there's just been an Android avalanche of news and rumors just popping out everywhere. It's all exciting, and there's some great phones coming out and stuff like that, but like the floodgates have opened. Last night, out of the middle of nowhere, some Galaxy 4 rumor comes out.
Yeah.
Like, where the hell did that come from? Didn't anybody know it's like September? The phone was released 2 months ago. We don't plan on seeing another one for 10 months. Where does this come from?
The rumor mill waits for no man.
Exactly. So Tom, what was the rumor? Fill us in on what the rumor was exactly.
Well, this has come from the Korea Times through Pocket Now, and it's basically that they're going to announce the Galaxy S4 on stage at MWC in February, which doesn't sound too believable, but also
let's see.
With the phone internals apparently going to come with a quad-core Exynos that will be packing LTE. The screen's going to they had their own event, and they had plenty enough to talk about.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
At their own event for the Galaxy S3, so I question whether or not it'll be at MWC at all. So,
what are your thoughts on it there,
Steve? It could be. They could surprise us.
I don't really have too many thoughts on it. I mean, Jesus Christ, the Galaxy S3 just came out a few months ago. Do we really need to be talking about the S4 already? I'm sure it's going to have better specs and whatever, but it's way too early. Come on.
It is a little early. What really caught my surprise on this, and I think Droid Mike will agree with me, is the timing of when they say it's going to be out, and that's Mobile World Conference. And we all know that they have never announced a Galaxy S device there, so the timing is definitely a big change from what they're used to. Samsung has always wanted to do their own little announcement, their own little show, their own little hype. So that really makes me question the rumor a little bit. But there are some, you could potentially, reasons why they might want to change up to a Mobile World Conference an announcement. Mobile World Conference this year, we had some, subpar announcements then, and they may have been recruited to take over the conference to announce their devices. We had CES this year, we had Mobile World Conference, we had CTIA, and from the feeling from me from some of those shows were that the lack of the Samsung announcements really kind of hurt, because and the Motorola wasn't there, so we were looking at some kind of, in my eyes, some subpar shows. So Mobile World Conference is kind of towards the end of everything, and maybe they've pulled them in, let them have exclusivity to the show. It's certainly a draw and brings in a lot of attention. Now, on the other hand, that makes a possibility is that when you are releasing the Samsung Galaxy S3, June, mid-June, July, mid-July, depending on when all these carriers get it, how many months you got to sell to the iPhone people, right? They do release this device a little bit earlier. They have, all those months to sell those Galaxy S3 to those iPhone fans. And then they have, the fall time to put out a new device or drop their Note 2. So maybe dropping it a little bit earlier in the year is going to get, some more purchasing power. Because when you're releasing that Galaxy S4, midway through the year, you've already missed out on a half a year of people's who contracts up, and you've only sold 20 million now, but maybe if you released it 3 months earlier or a couple months earlier, maybe that's at 30 million by now. Just some food for thought on that as a potential reason as to why they could be looking at getting this device out a little bit earlier.
If they were to start from February, then if they started the plan, like say, from February, so at the end of February they announce, and then say they ship the phone in some markets mid-April, and then hit the rest of the US beginning of May, then the lifetime of the device will certainly be longer until the next time they bring one out. But the question is whether or not the S4 is going to be a massive leap from the S3, because there are so many people out there that have just signed up for 2 years on S3.
Well, they're not even worried about those people, Tom, because they know that their contract goes for 2 years anyways. They're looking at the people with the S2, right? And that's where they're going to be throwing in their own quad-core Exynos LTE processor.
That's another thing. I
that's
think
going to be
that must
the upseller, because it's the quad-core this time, for sure.
And that must really hurt Samsung. They have to knock on Qualcomm's door and just go.
Well, this year is going to be Samsung.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's going to be fantastic.
It was this year that they had to use the Qualcomm.
Yeah, that's got to hurt Samsung. It's like, could we just have some of your chips, Mr. Qualcomm, because ours don't do LTE? It's like, yeah, okay, great stuff. You own numerous different chip plants and you can't figure out LTE. Good one, Samsung. Good one.
Yeah, I kind of think. Now I lost my train of thought. Good one, Samsung. Ah, dang it. Oh, you know what I was gonna think? Oh, I was thinking that iPhone mentality. iPhone mentality goes that the iPhone 4 came out, and those guys 2 weeks prior sold their iPhone 3GS. The 4S came out, and 2 weeks earlier those guys sold their 4. The 5 came out 2 weeks ago. Those guys are selling their 4S because people don't know. And so I kind of think that might be Samsung's goal in the future, or now, is for people to want their phones that badly that the S3 is just sitting in their pocket thinking, okay, well, if this phone's coming out in March, in late February after the announcement, I gotta sell this thing. So I kind of wonder if that. I mean,
how I would.
That would be the ultimate. That'd be the ultimate goal from iPhone, or from the iPhone standpoint, I suppose, and most companies' way of hoping to think, rather than waiting for that 2 years to fill up.
Well, as Mike had said, it is so premature. I mean, this is.
Oh no.
This is we are going to be hearing Galaxy. It started early. Galaxy S4 rumors usually don't start till December, and we've definitely heard them early already, so
Well,
let him begin.
We are 4 days from the end of summer, and usually fall time is when we start hearing decent rumors about phones from Android anyway.
Well,
And we're not even there yet.
you know, it
Yeah,
is
it's
really
definitely
exciting.
early.
We're already getting hammered with rumors of new phones. So if somebody's looking for a new phone this fall, there's going to be some great devices coming out. A new one that just popped out onto our airwaves as well yesterday, and it is perfect timing to get this ball rolling, is the Galaxy Nexus 2. New Galaxy Nexus phone rumor time. It is, you know, at the end of summer is when the Nexus phone rumors start coming out. We're looking at probably a release of, you know, at least I would assume an announcement from about the beginning of November, with probably a release for the beginning of December. We're going to see some fast and furious rumors, and it's already started with a Galaxy Premier, which probably won't even be that name by the time it actually comes out. There was a rumor yesterday about this new Nexus 2 device. GTY9620 is the device. It seems a little hanky with some of the rumors that are out on it, that it'll be coming with a 1.5 gigahertz core. I'm going to certainly hope that that's quad core. I'm just throwing that out there in case.
Actually, it's not going to be quad core. It's going to be octa-core.
Octa-core, awesome.
Oh,
that's
wow.
Apple iPhone rumor.
I could run a server in my pocket. That'd be brilliant.
Exactly. But no, I think a quad core would be definitely where you set the pace with this. But
it's
anyways,
not gonna have quad core.
It better.
No, because the thing about it is that the rumors have been a little bit janky, like you say, on this. But the thing is that it's the GTI 9260, so that's only a bump across the i9250, the Galaxy Nexus model number was.
Yeah, I saw that.
And Samsung have historically just kind of, for instance, the Galaxy S, i9000, Nexus S, same phone, different dress, i9020. They've done it so many times, and I think this could be Samsung's entrance into a lineup of Nexus devices that launch their near, because even Google, I don't think even Google are going to go, oh, you did a great job with the last two Nexus phones, just for the sake of it, we're going to make ourselves seem really biased, and you can do the next flagship. I don't think they're going to do that. I don't know who they're going to hand the flagship to. Maybe they're not going to do a flagship this time around.
This is actually the approaching into next week's conversation of Nexus talk. But 5 Nexus devices by November. We have 2, 3 more on the way. One of the rumors I keep hearing, and over and over and over, is that we're going to have 3 Nexus phones this year. My speculation is Sony, Samsung, and Motorola. That way it doesn't seem like Motorola is being Google-rolla, because they're giving Sony a bone and they're giving Samsung a bone. And so this Premier device may not be, who knows what it is. I mean, I think they're giving each phone company a chance to be like, each one of these 3, whoever these 3 may be, and you never know, there may be 2, and we'll see who knows what Nexus something or another, Nexus keyboard for all we know.
But, this early in the stages of the rumors too, we don't know. I mean, this could be a total different device. Could be just along the lines of a.
Well, if you think about it,
hey,
we're actually only a month away from a possible announcement.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that this is still very early speculation stages as to what it is. This could be a mid-range phone for Boost Mobile, for all we know.
Okay, well,
when you're
that's
pulling out,
it could be the Boost it could be the Boost Mobile Galaxy Nexus, for all we know.
Yes,
and they just changed the version numbers a little bit. I will say this for now. I've heard from a source. I've heard from a couple sources, actually. One of them telling me that will not be named. One of them telling me, very familiar, inside sources. One of them told me that the Google Nexus is being talked about right now within the company. And another one told me that a call center is hiring like crazy right now, and only under the Nexus department. So when you call 1-855-85 Nexus or whatever,
these same sources have been pretty bang on with Mike. So I think fair to say that there's some weight to it. We're going to be seeing some major devices coming next week.
From what I understand, we'll touch a lot more on this next week.
Let's save some for next week. We got a little nice show lined up for next week with lots of treats for people. We had to actually pull some stuff back this week because we just had so much stuff to cover. But there'll
be no 32 hours of talk time this week.
Yeah, no 32 hours of talk time.
And speaking of big news next week, Chris, you're going to be giving away a brand new iPhone 5, right?
That's right. Revolutionary, life-changing iPhone 5.
Yeah, but you got to read the small print. Will be an iPhone 4S in drag.
Yes.
Only
may or may not have a Galaxy label on the back.
Android stickers.
May or may not come with TouchWiz 5.
So let's save some of the rumors next week where we're going to go off on this Nexus tangent. We're going to probably be every week. It's going to be Nexus week until this phone is dropped. Rumors are going to be flying fast and furious on this phone, and there's going to be no shortage of them. So don't worry, we're going to delve in deep on this phone every week, and no rock will be unturned finding out what is the latest news on this phone.
No worries.
Now, we wanted to hit as well also, it's Droid Mike time. Mike has got a special treat for us. Mike, what have you got?
Well, just a small side note. Figure it didn't deserve an entire topic, but a company called NIK Software, N-I-K Software, got purchased by Google early this morning. I was at work and I popped on my feed early this morning and saw NIK Software has been acquired and thought, what the crap is a NIK Software? Turns out they make a lot of little apps, but one huge app. It's called Snapseed, and it's an Instagram. I don't know if it came first or after Instagram, but it's kind of a clone of sorts. The one cool thing about it is, well, I don't know if it's ever cool to steal apps from a company, but it was an Apple app. It was an iPad 2 app, and it received one of the App of the Year awards in 2011 on the iPad 2. So that's kind of cool. Google purchased them. Just another, for those of you who like to take Instagram-style photos, this is definitely another option. I'm not sure if they're going to add this to Google Plus on their editing software.
Sounds like a good plan.
It'll be a phone app. I mean, they've tried what, 4 phone apps? They had Pool Party, which turned into Google Plus Events. They had Photovine, which was an Apple-only app and is gone now. And I think they had one other app. Either way, this could turn into another thing. More editing software, I guess, is never a bad thing. When you can get better red-eye reduction and a weird 70s filter, I guess your day's a good day.
But yeah. To continue with what you're saying, Mike, I think it'll definitely come to like Google Plus, and also it might. I think it might also come to Google Plus app, because right now there's not really, with Google Plus mobile app, you can't really add effects or stuff to your photos, and that would be perfect right there. Integrating that app somehow.
Definitely, for sure.
That's what I was thinking when I seen that announcement that was a Google Plus acquisition, potentially an app on its own as well on the side, but definitely a G Plus acquisition for sure.
Well, it was kind of revealing too, because that it's going to be coming to Google Plus, because Senior VP of G Plus, Vic Gandro, announced it and talked about it and how exciting it is. So I think we'll definitely see it here in the near future.
The ironic part to me, TechCrunch calling you out by name on this one. Google Plus not acquiring any more apps in 2012. Are they doing badly? No.
Well, we know how spot on those TechCrunch AOL guys are.
Not a big deal. Figured I'd call them out. Not a huge deal. I guess when that app comes to fruition and ends up on Google Plus or wherever it ends up, we'll kind of briefly mention it and go on from there.
Screw AOL.
Yeah, exactly. My second point of interest is the Droid Razr M, which
show us this new
actually
toy.
Turned out to be a really, really nice phone. I pulled this thing out of the box and it feels really nice.
Could you turn the screen on for us, Mike?
That I can. Let's see. I'm going to turn the brightness up all the way too, so it's a little more visible. I usually try to put my brightness down a little bit so I get a longer battery life. But on this thing, I don't. I'm actually thinking that I might keep the brightness up all the way because I got a huge battery life on it the other day. I was at work and I was rocking at 91% over 8 hours, I think. I got home and I think I was at 85% after 9 hours. I was like, oh, wow. I mean, I didn't do a whole lot. It was on standby most of the time, but that's still pretty impressive considering it's using LTE and using the data and using the connection on that one. But I don't know if you can see the screen that well. I'm a little blurry right now.
So how is the display like on your end from taking pictures and playing games?
It's really, really nice. I actually posted a couple pictures today of haziness in the sky, and they turned out really nice. The games, I haven't tested a whole bunch. I'm still going to do that in a full review, or even in a partial Google Plus review pretty soon. The screen's really nice. I've got a few phones kind of sitting around, including a Galaxy S3. And when I want to go out and just kind of sit on my couch and do some things, I end up grabbing the Razr M because it's just a nicer screen. It's a compact form factor. Even
is it still QHD?
Yeah, I believe it's still QHD with a super AMOLED screen. So it's kind of a double-edged sword because you're rocking the AMOLED and it's really nice and really bright, but you're only viewing it in 960 by 540. So it's kind of like not the best all the time. But the way they've packed it in, and I don't know if you can see, but it's got a really thin bezel.
Yeah, that is crazy thin.
I pulled it out of the box and I was kind of surprised. I was expecting the Razr M, the $99 phone. You can buy this phone for $99, $50 on Amazon, I believe, right now.
Probably be $0 by next month.
Really nice. Yeah, really. I don't know what is going on. I don't know if this phone was planned for a couple months ago and Motorola just didn't drop it, and so they felt bad and threw it at $99, or what the deal is. But it's
Motorola
I feel like it's way more money than $99, and I kind of feel like it's a bit of a steal of the month for sure.
Well, I mean, definitely looks like a sharp phone. It's, I guess, probably in terms of specs, it would be considered a mid-range phone, but not by much.
Not by much.
No, it's not by much. It's a great kind of mid-range, entry-level type of phone. It's got a dual-core 1.5 Qualcomm S4, so I mean that's right out there with everything else. Yeah. 1 gigabyte of RAM, 8 megapixel camera, 1080p. You know, it's a 2,000 milliamp. No, and at the price,
and it's got NFC and LTE. So I'm just kind of confused why we've got NFC and LTE and a huge screen and Super AMOLED and the 1.5 dual core, and it's still $99 somehow. To me, this is marking a new thing for phones.
That's a bang for your buck type of phone.
Honestly, I looking at the specs and everything, I think it might be one of the best budget Android phones you can get at that price point.
Yeah,
definitely. I mean, for $99, that's crazy.
It's kind of a weird if you guys want to check it out, you can go to either gdgt.com. It's gadget, but it's spelled out GDGT, or Phone Arena, and do their compare feature and put it up against the iPhone 5 or the Galaxy S3 or the One X. You'll see that they don't really vary that much. I think the one big feature you'll notice is the camera and the screen. You know, being QHD, and Motorola hasn't been one to put out the best cameras. That's slowly changing, but I think you're going to see a better camera in a 1X or an S3, or especially the iPhone 5, since
definitely
I hate to say it, but the iPhone 5 camera still is one of the better cameras. Along with the S3 and the 1X. I'm fired. Oh,
but you know, definitely the battery life, though, on a phone like this.
The battery life is impeccable on this phone.
And that's one thing that Motorola is clamoring to fame to, and is a really big thing nowadays. I mean, you know, the picture quality is always something, you know, you always want to improve on. But when it comes down to, at the end of the day, how long your phone's going to last. Because you can't use that camera if your phone has got no juice, right?
Exactly.
32 hours of talk time.
32 hours. It's back.
Not enough.
I'll definitely be posting some pictures and a video.
We'll be looking for a new review, full breakdown after you get some time with that, Mike. Look forward to seeing that. That could be a potential mid-range device of the year by the sounds of it. And you had a couple of little final Galaxy S3 tidbits you wanted to throw in quickly?
Yeah, I've had every Galaxy S3 I can get, minus the AT&T one, but it wouldn't really matter a whole lot in my area because AT&T is just not up to par in my area right now.
Hold on,
so I've got the Verizon Galaxy S3, I've had the Sprint Galaxy S3, and I've had the T-Mobile Galaxy S3. So I've had the entire family of S3, and I just kind of wanted to give some final thoughts on that one. It's a huge hit right now. A lot of people are getting into it, especially with iPhone 5 time coming around. I just wanted to kind of finish up talking on that one. I know maybe you have a little bit to say about it, Chris, as well, because you've had a review unit here and there, and I believe your wife is actually quite fond of it from what I remember you telling me. But it's definitely, I mean, we were talking about screen on the Moto M, or the Razr M, I should say. The Moto M was a different phone altogether. But the screen on this one's definitely a lot better than the Razr M. You get a higher quality screen. It's huge, or at least it feels huge. It's also not got a whole lot of bezel there. I don't know if you can see that. I'll probably, in my review, I'll probably do a screen comparison with the S3 and the Razr M as well, kind of to show you what the screen looks like on a good HD quality video. This phone's quite thin, as you can see. The S3, it's got nice features. It's really bright. The screen is. It's got. I kind of like. Well, I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say that when I started reviewing the first S3 I ever got, I was disappointed. I told Chris, I don't think this phone's actually all that it's cracked up to be, and we kind of have a 2 or 3 day conversation back and forth on Google Talk, and I think I even wanted to do a hangout with him, and kind of just not, just kind of talk to you guys about it.
You wanted to bash it.
Yeah, I wasn't very happy with it. I was
but you know
disappointed.
What? You know,
but I stepped back and thought maybe I shouldn't think of this as necessarily an Android device in the way that I think of other Android devices. And that actually made me think a whole lot differently about it, and it made me feel a lot better about the phone. And once I was used to it and comfortable with it, I started thinking about it again as an Android device, and it's really come into it with me. I don't still think I'd buy one, but I've recommended them to almost everyone. So,
you know, the wife has one, and I have a review unit as well. And I also had a couple of guests over, and they both had one as well too. So at one point, I had 4 Galaxy S3s in my house.
Wow.
You know, S beaming back and forth. But honestly, there's no complaints from anybody who owns the S3. The processor is fast. The battery life is improved. The picture the screen quality is amazing.
It's
light.
light.
The pictures you do have to play around a little bit with the pictures to get your pictures spot on, but the camera is great. Hands down, it's the best phone of the year. We all have our own preferences, but if you take the whole package all together and you use it for a little while, you realize that it's probably the best phone. Even as much as we love the Nexus devices and the Nexus experience, the Samsung phone has put it all together. And I'm not a fan of the entire Samsung experience with some of the stuff they do and some of the way their UIs are set up and everything. And actually, to be honest with you, I didn't even like the look of the Galaxy S3 when it first came out.
No, Chris and I actually talked about it and weren't happy.
It looks a lot different in person than it does in the pictures that you see, the stock photos. I say it's a lot more nicer in person.
Definitely if you're questioning this phone, go to the store and hold it. See if they've got the dummy unit. Don't hold the tethered unit that's stuck to the thing with the giant 80-hour battery on it or whatever that's got the weird plug-ins and everything else. Ask if they've got a dummy unit and actually hold it. Or if the store rep has one, hold theirs, because it's a whole different experience.
Hold my phone.
We were crapping all over this phone when it came out.
We were. I mean, it was the design, just the shots that they put out, the stock photos on there, it looked awkward. It didn't look as nice as it did in person, and and it was a little underwhelming a little bit from having kind of like an iPhone 5 type of thing where it's going to have this, it's going to have that, it's going to have everything, and it's going to change your life, and Jesus will come back from the dead. But it's once you get to use it, the whole package and everything, and it's a pretty good phone. Let's get over to Tom. He's shaking his head at me because he can't believe I brought Jesus into the Android conversation. But
look, you can bring
Samsung S.
You can take Jesus wherever you want.
Okay.
I don't mind.
Tom, you have a top 10 apps. Now we usually do a top 10 story every week on our site, covering all kinds of the greatest apps. Last week, I think it was, we covered some of the top 10 games for August. Now we're going with the top 10 apps, our September edition. So Tom wants to throw out his list of top 10 apps that you need to know about.
That's right. These are some serious high-end apps, and I've compiled a diverse list. So they're not all the same app, because that'd be stupid. But no, we had some interesting apps come out in the last month. Some of them really quite useful, actually. And I'm going to get started with my with the top 10. Number 10 we has Norton's Spot Ad Detector, which, as you can imagine, it detects malware and ads on your device. So like you install, say you install a game from like a dodgy developer that doesn't look quite reputable.
Or if you get an app from the Alien App Store.
That's right.
Oh, good.
That's right. So if you're in China, Norton Spot Ad Detector. That's all you need.
There you go.
Yeah, it's a good app, and for a Norton app, it's actually not too intrusive, and it works nice. It's got a nice UI. It's friendly and it's very easy to use, which is the main thing because it serves a simple purpose. You don't want to be bogged down by the rest of it. And at number 9 we have Retail Me Not Coupons, which is an application for, you guessed it, coupons.
Can I interact 1 second? I have used Retail Me Not for coupon codes and coupons in general and savings, and they are a really good site if whatever you're buying online, and like just say you're at some store or whatever, just go to Retail Me Not, throw in the store into there, and chances are you're going to find some type of coupon or promotional code to save money. And a lot of, Either is $5. Takes 2 minutes to search. You can save a couple of bucks on it. The site's really good for that stuff. I'm kind of excited about the app because you save money. Anyway, sorry, Tom. Go back.
Oh, thank you very much for that, Chris. Thank you very much. And number 8, we've got an app called Video Locker, which hides your videos behind a passcode, and there's 128-bit encryption. The reason why I'm not going to go into why the main reason why you wanna hide videos. Okay, that's your own business.
Means you're taking pictures of who is it there? Kate Middleton.
Yeah. So if you're taking pictures of her while she's topless, and you don't want your friends to see them, or your friend.
Tom was the photographer on that, responsible for that.
Yeah, I mean that took some serious work, but I got there in the end.
All shot with his HTC X1.
That's right. No, but Video Locker, though, I mean there are some less seedy reasons why you might need it. For instance, like if you've got all of your your child's first on their first steps and stuff, and you've got colleagues that go through your phone, or friends go through your phone, and you don't want people snooping through your stuff. Nice, quick and easy app, and there's a pro version available with more functions as well. And good thing is it blends in nicely with Android 4 or 4.1.
Nice.
Which is just what you want. There's number 7 is Sleep Time Alarm Clock, which is an alarm clock that you set it up, and you set up the time you want to wake up between a half-an-hour window, and you put it on your pillow, and then it senses you stirring, and then wakes you up within half an hour of the time you gave it, and it picks the best time within that half-an-hour window in which to wake you up with as little distraction as possible.
Wow, revolutionary.
See, yeah. I would be afraid with an app like that. I would be afraid that and having my phone so close to my head, I would be afraid, like in the middle of the night, I would just pick up my phone and just throw it against the wall or something.
Years ago, I actually did that. Back in the days of my old Sony Ericsson K blah blah, I woke up at normal time. Woke up, just gonna go to college, and I walked past my desk, and there's my phone lying on my desk. My phone normally lives on my bedside table. Apparently, I woke up in the middle of the night. I've thrown my phone. I've spilled a glass of water. Don't know what's going on. So this app could either kill your phone or make you late for work. There's a good chance it's going to do both, but it's well worth it. Anyway.
So this phone sounds like it could be potentially harmful. This app could be potentially harmful for your phone.
Yeah, if you live in like confined spaces with someone maybe across the room and you're taking a quick nap, don't use this, please.
Okay.
Number 6, we have Tablet SMS by Desk SMS, which is from the wizard who gave us Clockwork Mod Recovery, which is why we all enjoy stock Android on shitty phones from HTC and Samsung. And basically, Desk SMS actually works everywhere. Basically, you install it once on your phone, and then you can either install the Chrome extension, or I think there's Firefox extensions, and there's PC clients, and you can text using your existing phone number from all of these applications, Gmail as well. But now he's released a tablet client, so you can text from your phone using your tablet, which is great if you you're lounging around with the tablet and you really can't be bothered to go fetch your phone. People won't just ignore you. Or if you're if you spend a lot of time on your tablet.
Uh-oh, we lost.
I guess Tom decided that we didn't need to hear the rest of the show.
Wow.
I think Samsung or HTC accessed this thing out on air, and they were talking smack, and they're like, hey, we're not having this, we're just going to kill his internet connection.
Well, until Tom comes back, maybe I'll sub in for him. The next one, I'm like, what the hell is this? A paprika recipe manager. Is that for all my paprika recipes?
Okay.
And what it is anyways is it manages your recipes, but it's extremely helpful. You can lock the screen, keep it while you're cooking, sync it with cloud, plan meals, scale recipes, stuff like that. And sounds like it's a really useful application for the chef who needs some help around the kitchen. The number 4 is the uTorrent beta. Who doesn't use a uTorrent nowadays? Well,
I played the 5th.
You played the 5th.
No.
Okay.
No one
You
does.
don't download anything
No.
illegal. Everything is
That's
legal
true.
content.
That's true. There are legal.
Correct.
There is legal content that you can
There
download
is.
through
And
torrent.
that's what we use.
It's a faster way to download.
On uTorrent. And if anybody knows, well, I can't say they're the best because there's always something better out there, but uTorrent is definitely one of the top torrent softwares available for computers, and now they've brought in that software to your Android phone, so you can download legal items from your own phone. There we go, and you can switch back with all kinds of things with your computer, back and forth access files. Make sure you get that copy of of whatever show it is that you want to watch. And now we're back to number 3, which is Tom's back. See, that's what happens. You don't pay your internet bill, you get kicked.
No, this is what happens when you one have to use Windows Vista, and 2 have to use Windows Vista. So
okay, yes,
I feel.
I don't recommend
right
using Windows Vista.
it's not my permanent machine. It's
Okay.
I'm a Linux man. I'll just get it out of the way. We'll move on.
Now, Tom, I'm going to let you describe. I was filling in for you there while you abandoned me, left me on the spot. I carried away.
Oh, wow.
We're at number 3. This next app, I don't know what the hell this thing is, but why don't you tell us?
Number 3 is the Swatchmatic. This is brilliant.
What is it?
Swatchmatic. This is brilliant. This is a great app.
Okay. What does it do?
Let me tell you all what this magical application does.
Please do.
Revolutionary.
No, it's resolutionary. Get that right. No, basically what it does is say you've got your smartphone or you've got a 7-inch tablet or even a bigger tablet. You've got a bigger tablet with camera on there, and say you're working design or something like that, or you're just creative or something like that, and you're looking for new colours or whatever. But this is great. So say you're walking through the city and you see, I don't know, something like a shop sign or something like that, and you like the look of that colour, you point your phone at it, and then around the little target that the app presents you, a swatch will appear, and then you can pick which colour from that most accurately represents that, and then there you go, you have your colour, and then you can use that as a swatch to find colours for paint or whatever else because you've already saved this colour. So say you're walking along the street and you think, that's a really nice shade of red on that post box. I need to find that shade of red.
I do that often. I can't believe they finally got an app for that shit.
Well, on your post boxes, your post boxes are blue.
My life has changed. Sorry.
On the post boxes in America blue? I don't know.
Yes.
No, they're all kinds of different colors.
Oh, well, they would be, wouldn't they? No, but no,
America
seriously.
and their damn freedom.
God damn it. It is a good app because, I mean, say you're redecorating somewhere or, you're just looking to spruce something up or something and you're out and about. I mean, if you're the creative type of person, this is fantastic because...
Can I ask you a question?
I don't work for them.
Did your girlfriend help you pick this app?
No. It'd be a little bit difficult for my girlfriend who's currently on the dark side with an iPhone to help me pick.
How the hell could you date a woman like that in the first place?
It was a gift from an unknowing parent. I'm sorry.
She should have sold it.
Is it Darth Vader?
Yes, it is. It is.
Okay. Sorry, Tom. I'm going to let you move on with your top 10. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll just go to number 2 now. Number 2 is actually a really good app, and if Darth Vader would quiet down.
Quiet down, Darth. I've muted Darth. Go ahead.
Right. Basically, number 2, Dayframe, is a really nice app. It's it's designed for you've got a tablet lying around. I mean, their primary target was the Nexus 7, and essentially what Dayframe does is you put it in a stand or you dock it with a charging dock, and you can log in with Facebook, Instagram, and Flickr. and you can also just have the Flickr interesting account circle round, and it will show all the photos from your online accounts as like an interactive photo frame, and it'll also give you the time and date. But then there's a microphone button on there, and you use that to use Android voice commands, so you can like comment on photos from your friends and stuff on all the different accounts you've logged into it, all through voice. So, say you've got it in the kitchen, or I don't know, say you've got it, on your desk or something like that. You can just quick and easy press the microphone button, leave a comment on one of your friends' photos or one of your relatives' photos from abroad, whatever. So it's a nice app. It's currently in preview. It's currently free.
I've heard a lot about this app, and it's supposed to be really well done.
Yeah, I mean, it works on everything as well. It works on phones right up to large screen tablets. I mean, it works on my touchpad, which has got ridiculous.
That's amazing, because not much works on the touchpad.
Well, no, because the resolution on the touchpad isn't exactly standard, so you wouldn't expect all apps to work instantly. But it works nicely. Voice input works perfectly fine, and it works great on my One X as well. And it's a really nice app. I just wish I had more friends, friends I cared about.
So. Can't help you there, but.
No, never mind.
Okay, next one.
Number one is Dashlane. Now you might have heard of Dashlane on PC and Mac, but I'm not surprised if you haven't. Basically, they've got an Android client now, and the way it works is you sign in on your PC or your Mac, and then you sign in again on your Android device, and it handles all of your passwords using military-grade 256-bit encryption. So, say you're a nutter like I am, and you change your passwords once a month with ridiculous sounding passwords, and none of them match, and none of them are relevant to anything, so you're super secure, and you forget them all the time. Just get this. It's brilliant. Security these days is getting a bit of an issue. People always want to hack for some reason, and daisy chaining accounts is something that people fall in. Is a trap that people fall into. Just say you've got one password for Gmail, Twitter, and Facebook because you've not got a very good memory, or you're too lazy to either change it or remember a new one. With this, you can change them to whatever you want. So they're really secure passwords, and then all you've got to do is have your phone with you and one master PIN to remember all of your passwords, which is really quite useful, and it works really well. Especially if you type like I am to change your passwords quite often because you are convinced the entire world is out to get you. So if you are super paranoid and you live near Area 51, this is your favorite app, clearly.
Good stuff, Tom. Thank you very much for the top 10 applications for September.
You're welcome.
Now, I just have a little bit of breaking news that I wanted to share with everyone before we go. Just let you know the crackpot Android headlines team we are here, that we let no news go uncovered. Bad Piggies, launching September 27th. You ready to take off? Get some revenge? Because those piggies are pissed.
Those piggies are pissed.
And all I can say is that's the type of news that other Android sites are putting out there. That's their breaking news.
That's it. I mean, we bring you high-level paranoia and passwords. Droid mics bring you up to date, and they bring you bad pigs. Bad pigs.
Exactly. All right, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us this week. Thank you to my co-hosts, Tom Dawson, Mike Stringer, and Droid Mike Corbet. We're going to see you guys next week with our action-packed show. We have some good topics set up already for next week. We're excited. Can't even wait to do the show. So make sure to tune in next week. And in the meantime and in between time, that's it for the Android Headline Show. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and we'll see you back next week. Adios, amigos.